based in Melbourne. Her art practice is based in space science, and she's especially interested in the role of art, or in the role that art will play in small isolated communities living in extreme environments of Earth. Currently, for the Twin Desert Mars 160 mission, Annalea is the field artist. Through simulation and environments analogous to Mars, her research explores how observation is key to the role of all field geologists, including those on planetary exploration crews. Annalea is the National Secretary and Executive Director of the Mars Society of Australia and the Director of the National Space Society of Australia. She's a member of the British Interplanetary Society and the Victorian chapter of the International Dark Skies Association. She's a past member of the Mars Desert Research Station Kiwi Mars Crew 118, a participant in Spaceship Bound New Zealand 2015, and a recent expedition member of Spaceship Bound India 2016. She has contributed to 3 Springer volumes that explore the challenges for humans living in frontier societies in the future on hostile planets such as Mars. So I'll hand over to Annalea. Thank you.
Can you hear me? Yeah. So, hello, I'm Annalea Beattie, and perhaps it's hard to tell yeah. So I'm a member of the Mars 160 expedition, and I'm going to talk to you now about that expedition. I'm going to tell you a lot about the science, a little bit about our life on Earth, in the desert, and I'll tell you a bit about my own life.
Question.
Mars 160 is a twin desert study in a Mars animal setting with the aim of characterising life in extreme environments, advancing the understanding of the limits and constraints on life, and defining protocols for future successful planetary scientific exploration. On our mission, field science team members carry out field and lab work as part of a multidisciplinary crew at an analog planetary habitat while simulating for Mars. So the goals of our mission, the first one is to look for life in extreme environments by examining patterns of biodiversity and distribution of organisms within the geological microhabitats in the country. Those we suspect might have parallels on Mars. So we know Mars has new geological features that we've recognised already. So it has ice caps, volcanoes, canyons, gullies, craters, hot springs, rift valleys, catastrophic floodplains, and so on. Our second goal for the mission is to engage a team of no. Now what? Is it? What did I do? No. So our second goal for the mission is to engage with a Earth-based team of scientists, collaborate with them, and as well, current thinking is that astronauts on a human mission to Mars or to other planets will be science journalists. So for this mission, I'm a public journalist, and I'm cross-trained to be part of the research and part of the science team. This means I can stand in for the scientists in the field, for instance, sampling. That word analog is important to us because here it's applied to field science, and on the Mars 160 mission, understanding terrestrial environments and how we look and helps us think about extraterrestrial environments. So it's a twin study set in two deserts, a comparative study conducted between 2 analog research research stations, Mars Desert Research Station in Utah, and Flashline Mars Arctic Research Station in Copenhagen in the Canadian Arctic. This is the station, set up by the Mars Society in 2009, 176 crews to date, over 1,000 people from all over the world have been on expeditions with Mars Desert Research Station. This is the layout, and we're in the process of turning the head into a bigger research station on Mars services. This is our crew. I'll tell you a little bit more about the mission and mission launch. Basically, I want to talk to you about the science. Because I guess the most important thing for you to know is it's not an isolation experiment. It's not a human factors experiment. There was a bit of human factors research going on, but it's basically a science mission, a research mission, and science progression mission. So if you do find life on Mars, it will either be microbial or fossilized and living under extreme conditions. It usually get microclimate and their long evolutionary history makes them excellent candidates for earthly models of Martian life. For this reason, the studies of microbial life on Mars and all sites on Earth focused on pseudoplasm, and that's what we would connect to those microbes that live in areas where conditions are extreme in terms of temperature or chemical composition. To understand the biology in the field, always ecology that provides the historical perspective of changing environments over time, giving context to the samples, and blood-like soil texture, pH, salinity, geometric position, aspect, and more. So geological data really is a component to every aspect of what we will do on Mars, choose a landing sites, and traverse. Managing environmental hazards, locating potential resources, as well as the basic context of biology that helps us understand the different processes that we need to for Martian life. So, in terms of geomorphology in Utah, seafloor erosion shapes the surface of the Utah Basin, and we were able to study analogues for Mars in the morphology and processes that are present in the vicinity within the areas. For instance, President John Clark, geologist, spent a lot of time researching inlet and sewer channels and reservoirs. We've always characterised the soil, characterised the biology. And we looked at useful features like stromatolites, these rare laminated column or dome-shaped structures are formed by mineralized photosynthetic biofilms. They're of interest to us because they are likely to occur in the early Martian life in ephemeral water bodies like and the ability of such like growth suggests that life is present in Martian history it might already be found in these kind of settings. Lichens are technically focused for research. You might find lichens on those, but they're really interesting as extremophiles, as analogues, visible analogues for other microbial communities because they have similar controls of moisture, radiation, substrate, aspect, and so on. They're amongst the earliest lichens, maybe 3.5 years old, and they'll be important to be terraform Mars. The principal focus, though, for our research, our science research for campfires, in Mars was warmer and wetter in its distant past. Scientists have detected chloride salts or evaporative deposits on the surface of Mars using data from Opportunity Rover, the thermal emission engine system on Mars Odyssey, and the Orbiting probes, global surveyor, and Mars reconnaissance orbiter. So we know the data's there, and there's strong evidence in the presence of brines on ancient Mars when conditions were optimal for life. So our our investigations focused on the patterns of healthy microbiodiversity in the soil and the sampling conditions that rates of Mars and Antiquian, sequencing the DNA. Likewise, our study looked at hyperlipse, hyperlipse, and so we work with science teams in SAA and so we laid out quadrants and we collected data and we processed samples back in the lab for macroscopic measurements and characterized the physical ecology. And we covered the soil and instead of the polarization with the signature abundance in particular desert locations. So we will DNA analysis will follow, and then will be used as an scientific stimuli to identify species and tell us about the nature of the organisms themselves and what makes them adapt to their environment. Hardly so long to cover physical ecology, but to set later. So hardly has never been sequenced before. And we hope to identify something about why these organisms can survive in such harsh places. Only with the maximum science return, the goal of Martin 60 is to identify and verify the most effective science operational methods to improve scientific exploration and study the planetary surface. So, the EVA project examines field work during EVAs to focus on operational analysis, and the initial idea due to publication the results by documenting the process during the 2 halves of the 1960 project. It will enable more effective training of field work carried out during EVAs, so it will result in to codify processes best suited to search for both in scientific perspective and from science application perspective. This is the methods. It will look at the tools and processes that we need for field science as part of this example. As part of this EVA project. There were 3 space agencies in Annalea Beattie. So literally trials were there, Germans were there, Canadian space agencies were there, and all the tools employed on the SAA to television. This is one of them, so it's good because of hammer and it cracks off, so making sound over time. It's really slow. Geologists have it so fancy. Before we know it. Anyway, we had the chance to work with some of those platform tools and it was really for us. And it was good for them because we were in service in that one, so we could try this. So the key challenge for our work is that it's completed in simulation. My research comes in under the EVA project in collaboration with our crew of field transits and Stanford. Geological field drawing, field science, Mars, and all the environments is a really process of field work. One that emphasizes the study of the authentic phenomenon context. Helping us understand the Mars was formed through terrestrial studies. So as field analysts, I checked the field drawing spaces, the desert, the conditions analysis to the Mars. And then maybe 50 hours in the suit, drawing the field. Because I want to have people draw their measurement space. The research addresses methodologies for adapting existing field sketching to a Martian environment to improve or make best use of the data. So as I look at the kind of tools, techniques, procedures and protocols which might be applicable for all to all future users in similar studies and build on the work done geologists and desert maps and field testing outcome. So science operations things, and if anyone wants to come in to do this job, perhaps it's nice. I'm really happy with that work and take it on for time. Some of the work I did was also done in the lab. So here I'm had to draw patterns of colonisation in the undersides of hypotheses. So usually the kind of work I'll do is field artists work is work that can't be quantified in another way. So field drawing, this is a drawing we was given to geologist John Clark. There was no dry creek there, no Northern Creek there. So drawings like that I do, and I just give it again and see if we could make take this one garden. That's very useful actually. Drawing through materials helps us think through situated knowledge around content, and it helps us actually translate our experiences into thought so others already know this. And field geologists also totally get it, and field drawing or field science is inherently exploratory. So to draw a geological outcrop, lichens colonised on a piece of sandstone requires the active process of observation that slip tools are going to cause their MEthane, and also sharpens up perceptual capacities, develops spatial knowledge, promotes the data recording, maximises retrieval and tells the context to mean sample interpretation. So this is a silver drawing following the side of the sample. So that's an unsuited drawing. Even without looking too hard at those colours, you can tell no difference. Pretty similar. One's in the suit, but you've got to read which one's in the suit. Second one is that one's in the suit, that one's not. I've forgotten myself. That one is in the suit, that one isn't. So I guess I can say the important thing is, even though the quality of the suit drawing might have been a bit better, a bit less rather, in terms of clarity and line and expression, and although there's discomfort in wearing a suit, and there's certain things through a left hand visor, and even if drawing this spacesuit is a little bit slower, so I managed to get more of the context for examining this. The point is basically the science return in terms of the data is the same. And these results for me are really consistent in tests. Entry surface, astronauts, sorry, some astronauts with a ritual, but a ritual takes 3 minutes as part of their travelling across the surface. So to finish, a little bit about our life in the station. You can maybe ask me some questions. Basically, most of the time it was really rigorous. We were working like 13-hour days. Everyone was exhausted most of the time. We pretty much got up and worked and slept and worked. Had 3 days off my time I was there. A normal day, we did like meetings, starting with the meetings and then building housework, exercise, EDA prep, reporting, all those things were part of the time. And there's no escape from that. So we all built on routine, and that routine was very good for us. And we started to clarify what we had to do in the day, and we didn't do it the next day. So food was a very big deal. Dehydrated food, I don't know whether you do much dehydrated food, but if you've got a cholesterol problem, you can eat it. My cholesterol went down 4 points in dehydrated food, so I reckon she wasn't too bad. No. How do you feel on this? Which was called it? So we've gone on pretty well. Our crew got on very well. I think that was because we pulled together the mission. We didn't have any choice. It was the mission on my thing. So, any questions, anyone? Anything you want to ask me about?
How long?
3 months. So, we didn't go outside without the suit unless we were in our sim experiment. So, for example, I did get suited onto the drawings. There was a time when perhaps in delivery, it was pretty much the same as in particular that experiment. Any questions?
Last finding tactile feedback when you were drawing?
No. by the time we get there, there'll be lots of senses and feelings, and geologists will be feeling lost. Because pretty much all you've got is suddenly observation becomes everything again. We just are having issues about the we can use other senses, but actually, the human spacesuit's 18K. It's really heavy, the neckline's big, you haven't got that kind of freedom of neck movement. You really have to, you're out maybe 4 or 5 videos a week. And so I'm going maybe I could maybe do 2.5 hours in the suit before I would just be fatigued. It's a bit too much of it. It just gets like stiff because drawing is really one place. And I do love to spend it time into it. So the gloves, yeah.
How long did it take to break?
Probably about 45 minutes.
Is that the typical of a mask suit?
Yeah, it's typical mask suit. So the suits are made by Cow Mask Society, and they're American chemical and advisors, the same as astronauts would have. They're similar weight. We haven't got air in this. So, but they're heavy. And you have to adapt and
that would be compensated by mass gravity,
presumably.
So maybe it's less heavy on Mars than it would be here.
Yeah.
Pressure,
yeah.
But you've got pressure.
That's one of the hardest things of the whole astronauts is just being able to bend your arms and do things.
Yeah.
And with the internal pressure of the suit, was 3 or 4 PSI. He was back in that time. They got really tired.
How much pressure do you have to put in Mars?
Well, you would want the back. It's almost energy. And you would still need, if you're just breathing oxygen, 3 or 4 PSI. If you're doing 1 atmosphere of pressure like Martian did, I don't know how you got around. He would have been so blown up like a balloon that he wouldn't have been able to give anything. He was working in the suit all that nothing. Wonderful.
Yeah.
Is it vision through normal eyes and through the that change?
No, because MEthane is really clear, beautifully clear. Last time I was at NVO's, we just have to speak those texts and that, awful, couldn't see. But I guess what did change with those suits from knockouts, much as we love them, the helmet was actually bigger than the last lot of helmets, and the fan was the same size, and all the engines that we go home. Big fog, you get a big fog, so that would cloud our vision. The fan didn't have enough grunt sometimes, particularly very hot weather, very cold weather. When we got there, it was 50 degrees, and when we left, it was -15. So, it didn't clear. Often we were in a slight haze. So, but basically I could see to draw, but I couldn't turn my head around. You can't turn your head around in the suit. And it worries me, about carrying guns in the Arctic, that you're just having all this so careful. And with guns on the phone, you can't see what's happening next to you. The suit shuts your vision down in that way. This one, you can see that. Yeah, you can turn your head around that way. But basically, it's turn your body to see that one. So you learn to make that difference. Yeah.
Please, in the experience of living in these research fascinating environments here on Earth, if you, as the principal active participant in any activity, you have to have a certain number of people supporting your activity. So if you've got something like 8 or 10 people in this group, how much of the regular routine is support services for one or other of the members? In other words, your 16 hours a day, you probably have 2.5 hours, 4 hours outside, plus the swimming on the outside. And there are the other people looking after you, monitoring you, and you've got to take your turn at that too.
Yeah.
So the support services activity in a living environment in an isolated area, that would be a full amount of your daily routine. That has to be honed up. That has to be concentrated on, documented, modified, discussed, even like this. So you're spending a lot of time, not on the actual activity, but on the preparation of the activity.
Yeah, it seems like you know this already. Right. And so, it's true, that's what happens. But I guess what happens is, it's quite clear when you go on the mission, the science is driving the mission. So the science activities come first, the DBA project and the research around science operation comes in second. So all the time we're gathering data, you're right, about what we're doing every day. What happens is get up in the morning, have breakfast, we brief and prioritise the day, scheduling meetings, what resources are needed, and we try and balance that out over the week. But all the time the science is driving it. So my filtering work, you might come in last, you might come in second last, you might come in first if I'm working with John Clark and he's working on something, he wants me to do something. So, Alex, the commander, was working on suit interface, so he could pretty much take that out on every EVA went on and give it around for an hour, with about 4.5 hours. You could still be on the science check, still get some design research done, and then you come back to write the whole thing up. Write a lot more than you thought you did. So you're right, you do, and it's so Alex, crew commander, prioritising for us, and it's about the science happening for us.
So it's
fairly behind that.
2.5 hours. How many man-hours of support services have been organised by others on your behalf?
Well, there'd be people that are cooking this lunch, so if you're after an EPA job and come up for lunch, there's that.
Or you're out with someone monitoring you.
Yeah, there's HACCOM. There's always a HACCOM, one member of the crew. So I guess what happens is you can split it up between those who are active and those who are at home. But what we do is rotate the roles. And really the ones at home, which is as active as the ones out on the science mission. No one is resting in that place. Working it's the work ethic is
So another question from Janine. So given the radiation damage to eyes, wouldn't close sonar and camera vision be better, especially since the helmet would have limited vision anyway?
Say that again, Sash.
So
given radiation damage.
Given radiation damage to eyes, would having a closed off helmet and camera vision be better? And considering you're going to be losing some of your vision anyway, that way you can also have slides and all.
Well, Alex was working on Sandra was working on certain places to come on that. But I guess when you're you pretty much have a good understanding of your eyes, really sort of customers. And I think what will happen is there'll be shields that shield radiation that you can see. I think they are needed. So I don't think that there's a substitute for looking. And it's also about your body space as well. When you really good everybody has in suits and it's confined space. Like, you don't get that body awareness that you get normally. And helmet, your eyes become like everything. And the rest of it all the time is just trying to get movement. There's nothing. So no, I don't really know. Nonsense. And somebody else has an answer to that. What do you think? Well, you know what I did? And it's really bad. I put my hand up and drew the next. But that is wrong, and that is breaking sin. And I learned that in the first week. So, no, don't.
I did notice one of the astronauts there, one seen photo of the face without sunglasses on. Another photo with the sunglasses on.
Oh, yeah.
So,
We were told to take those off, actually. We were told to take off the sunglasses off, but actually the desert was so clean.
Yeah, you just have a foot down.
So I guess the thing about the suits is the suits, simulate in the suits. But because this wasn't a human practice thing, no one's taking data on us in the suit. We don't care. We just need the weight of the suit and the vision thing to happen pretty much the same as it would be for an astronaut on planetary suits. And that's probably enough for us to do. So, our suits, like, they're like beautiful. They're not like blue spacesuits, but they have got some features that are very much like this. Yes.
What and how much human practice data was collected?
Well, Institute of Biomedical Research in Russia, the last 500 rather, they gave us, we had, I think, 3 institutions, including Stanford, giving us work to do. Sometimes it is group problem solving, sometimes we have to write a diary. We're all different. So we did do some human factors. Some people have IRBs, like, they had evidence to prove the human factors work with our crew, and we just got back from the results on, group dynamics and,
So it things like physiological monitoring, or when you came back inside, were your systems measured in any way, heart rate or anything like that?
No, because we did no swab tests, because no research done on our bodies. It's not an isolation experience, it's science, which is mission. So nobody was really working with us. The only person was Peter Hale from MEthane, and that's the plant project. So she brought plants in, and we had all these plants and ergonomic systems, and all had to be rewired. And we wore these things around our wrist, and that measured our physiology, what happened to us when we got close to plants. We did how many times we looked after them. We had to, quite a lot of work changing the kind of green off the rocks and putting the nutrients in. But, and she took some data from us.
So what was the purpose of having humans live in isolation for 3 months? There's no human factors measurements made. In that case, if the primary mission was geology and botany and all of those things, would they not have been done remotely?
No, because
what would the humans value out to this?
Well, the human value, this is that we were looking at science operations. So we were looking at how we work, and then look at trying to understand science.
Well, you actually got measuring how you work.
Well, we were measuring in terms of processes and procedures and tools and techniques. We were measuring our bodies, our individual bodies, but we were looking at the kind of strategies that scientists might use if they're on a planetary surface. And so we were in simulation. So that's what added to that. But we would try to be as true as we could be to the environment we were living in, in terms of the science and the science fiction. Every day we had to put in 8 reports to CATCOM. So we had a mission control that's called CATCOM, and they were a team of people all over the world, and we also had communications with remote science team from the Canadians.
Were there delays in those transmissions?
Pardon? Yeah, they were asynchronous, yeah. But our internet was so slow and so poor that half the time we couldn't even talk. It was like 500 meg something.
When you say you had trouble getting through, you might have known that for 40 minutes or so.
Well, no, we couldn't log on half the time. We couldn't get the internet. We had a lot of internet troubles in the desert. Lots. Yeah.
On your experience in this isolated environment in 3 months, how much effort and research went into aspects about contamination?
In what sense? What kind of contamination?
The fact that you're living in an environment that's isolated, look after just the normal human activities. Yeah. So that you had to then have certain preventative routines, certain other contingencies, should you get some medical accidents, or dangerous things. Yeah. So in other words, a lot of homework would have to have been done with simulation patient activities on the basis of preventing any contaminating aspects.
Yeah, so we were the 176 crews, something like that had been there. So our principal investigator, pathologist Shannon Rupert, has a complete set of procedures that she caretakes the Mars Desert Research Station. So there's a lot of rules and regulations that you have to follow. And that's to do with, waste, water. You don't want to treat it like it's a research wilderness, don't want to contaminate anything, everything has to be carted out, and so on. So when you go to the Arctic, you have to use a polar toilet. There's not, barrels of urine have to be ferried away, all that sort of stuff, fetch and carry on, very strict, all that sort of stuff. But we didn't have to do the work on those strategies, because there's a whole big football devices that's got all the rules and regulations about the Mars Desert Research Station, tried and true. It could be better. Yeah. I'm really relieved to follow the book around it. It's like running a national park, you learn straight away what you can and can't do. Don't do this. And we made a few mistakes, once we tried we ran out of water a couple of times because of the internet communication. We had to phone hard to get our water. We had our water delivered to us. So, we have things like we tried to collect the wastewater out of the washing up and put it down the toilet, and that was a no. But big trouble doing that because, of course, that goes out onto the desert floor. That's a bad thing. We thought we were saving water, but we weren't. So we learned that within 3 days. We understood things like that.
If someone uses nail polish, someone uses some other solid, and it causes extensive noise in some sections of the terrace, you have to live with it because you're in an environment. You have to live with it for half a day. So then all the people are naturally getting sick of each other. So someone else uses hairspray, or someone else uses some sort of breath freshener or something like this. So all of these have this tolerance measure conflict.
You have to negotiate all those things, what, no hairspray, no nail polish remover, no toxic nothing like that. We didn't have any of those sort of tolerance, and anything that was difficult to change, we put it on the table. It's in the morning, and we negotiated it. But, you actually put everyone else first. It's like science, you put everyone else first, so you don't do anything. You're chewing loudly all the time while you eat food in Australia, everybody crazy, and you know that. Leo?
There's bringing stuff to mind, and you consider, if you run into drawing
I can do a ritual. I don't think it matters. I think you could do either. I thought about doing ritual. And this case, they'll come in, who was an architect, as well as part of the Antarctic Division, who was on our crew. He did do a ritual. And for lighthouses, it was really good. So he did a lot of work over the top of photographs with that, and he did a great job. But for me, I was sort of trying to find out if I tried a whole lot of different materials. I tried stuff that I wouldn't probably expect to use on Mars, like carbon powder, which you have to be pressurised. But I tried, it's funny, artists bring something a little bit different to it. So I was rubbing a stone, doing a rubbing one day, and John Park said to me, what are you doing? I said, I'm rubbing, it's like 250 million-year-old ripples in the sandstone. Of course, I'm going to do rubbing. He said, what are you doing? What are you doing? It didn't even occur to me that was the way it worked. So, I think that's the thing about sending people in space. It's going to take all kinds of people to go to space. It's not just going to take scientists and engineers. It will take all different kinds of people. And that's the way it should be. It's great on our mission. Thanks, everybody.
Yeah. So we'll move on to Leo Flander. He is an artist, and he has in recent years been.
I just want everyone to know I've never done a painting unveiling before. This is it's 100% linen. My favorite painting. So I don't have any idea what to say. So when Ashley is ready, I'll unveil it. And I don't know if you have questions, we can talk about it. I do. I guess I should say I'm a portrait artist. I work in oils. I did an art show about a year ago called Astronaut Alley. It was like we turned like a bar into like a bar on Mars, and then I immediately realized Mars bar. Anyway, so yeah, just before anyone says it. So but yeah, the idea was to like I guess kind of what I'm interested in is I guess you'd call it science communication. Like obviously like people like you are really into like space and you like and our future, you know, of this planet and stuff, and you all get it. And so do I, because it's the best and it's really obvious, but like everyone else doesn't get it. And, or they, you know, maybe can't connect with it or feel very distant to it. So the stuff I work on in my art, I mean, I do a lot of stuff, but I guess the thing that I'm most interested in is trying to make the stuff that's so obvious to us about why space is important and why going to Mars and why all these things are like important to people, to make that stuff which can feel very removed and maybe very cold, very like, scientific, make it feel more approachable and maybe better. So that's why we decided to turn a bar into like a bar on Mars, because everyone goes to a bar, and as soon as there are like 10 people on Mars, they'll start drinking, right? Because that's, I assume, or maybe 20 people, I'm not sure. So yes, that's what we did. So that was a year ago. That's where I met Guy and Annalea. Annalea was in the show with me. It was like a group show, and we built a Mars viewport, and we had a big Skype with David Wilson from NASA AIM. That was pretty fun, and it was a bar. Nobody had any idea what was going on. I don't think they were super into it. I think the best part was everyone was super into it. It was like a dive bar as well. So it was like this Skype with NASA followed by like heavy metal bands. It was nobody had it was great. Nobody had any idea what to expect. It was very silly. And yeah, it's only so that was kind of that, and so I don't know, I guess that's a pretty good kind of explanation of what I do. Science communication is the thing. And so I've been doing some other portraits of other space related people. I did a portrait of Diane McGrath at Mars One Canada, and I know I'll continue to do share space things with people. I guess my selfish goal, which obviously I'm an artist, I'm pretty self-centered, is that, you know, I was just traveling, so I was in Europe, I was in Russia actually. I went to this, there's a museum in St. Petersburg called the Hermitage, which I'm sure a lot of you have heard of. It's like 4 powers as big. It was built by Catherine the Great, the Tsar, one of the Russian czars 200 years ago, and it was like giant. And it was like, her idea was just like, I'll make the best gallery, like the best museum gallery in the world. And she did. Like, it's amazing. But the reason I bring it up is like I saw so much oil painting and like beautiful oil painting. And so I guess my very small, very definitely self-centered goal is that if I just keep painting people who are like interested in space, and like eventually I'll paint someone who ends up being the most important person for 400 years, right? Like, because that's what's going to happen. Because eventually we'll go to Mars, and then if I've accidentally painted the person that invented, you know, that went to Mars, then like, I don't know. I think it would be really cool. Yeah. And maybe if I paint them, that'll make it happen too. Which is not about selfishness, but like that's the idea. It's like, anyway, ramble over. I guess I'll unveil my painting. This is so weird. Hope everyone enjoys it. Has anyone been to a painting unveiling before? Does anyone know how to do it? Alright. Oh, it's upside down! Wow. Yeah, the other model. Hey, there we go.
Stand next to it.
Okay, I will. With my shape. I guess if anyone has any questions about art, painting, Mars, anything, then they feel free to ask me. No, please, no questions. Say yes.
So you're actually going to Mars and just drawing pictures of people who are doing similar experience or actually going to.
Good question. I'd love to go to Mars. And like Emily, I would love to paint on Mars. I've actually been thinking about working out how to like grind my own. So obviously I could paint red, right? I have heaps of red on Mars. So yeah, I've been learning how to grind my own, mix my own paint. You can do it. You just need an oil, basically.
You might get some material from the red one.
That's right. Yeah. So all my paintings on Mars will be only red. That's not actually true. Like a lot of like you can make a lot of colors out of red oxide. Depending on how you process it, you can get brown, you can get black, you can get like kind of a light brown.
That's great if you want camouflage paint.
That's right.
Why would you want camouflage painting on Mars? You really should be wearing green suits or something that's very contrast, stand out, and as a survival. When we wear red fluoro suits here, because they stand out, as a survival thing. So we really want to wear red on Mars. That's a good point. Yeah.
That's orange.
Well, it's orange, but it's still,
What's the point?
You're flying around trying to find someone lost on Mars.
Sure.
Wearing a red suit is not the ideal colour.
Well, that's fair enough. I took my cues from these other suits that they wore in the simulation.
Yeah, don't argue with the food code. Take a look at what it's food and reading that.
Yeah.
There's nothing to say there, really.
Green or
Like that
blue?
we could find.
That's right. Oh,
Largely.
that's a good idea.
So I could stand.
Yeah, that's right. It's like imagine a fish bowl.
Hurry up. This way. It's not messy. Okay.
I think that would have been fun. Just standard painting. Cool. Thanks. Yeah.
How long did they people stand here?
Hours. They got real hard. They got really hard. Yeah. Yeah, that's right. So this was hello. Yeah, what? The sunglasses, there's well, that guy's Canadian, I know that. And the other guy, one of them is the commander, is it? I think which one is the commander? The French guy? Yeah.
Can you introduce that?
Okay, so Alex Manjoy, who spoke to the French Space Agency, and Sharon Rupert, College's PI, for mission, Anastasia, our last one, candidate, now is called the Roscosmos, also doing a mission there. UK and Bhakti chaplains and Bhakti physician, architect, geologist, resident of Art Society Australia, and Shri was a microbiologist in India and specialises in telephiles. Paul Knightley, geologist, wasn't on the mission, about to come on the second part of the mission. And Claude has pretty much got every qualification you can get in terms of physics and engineering and just general all-purpose. He was our page. And most people anyone
You would say that.
only do those. Yeah, but take them years to get
That's why I'm getting it early.
Yeah. Yeah, the thought about drawing, if there was or could be life on Mars, what would it look like? So you thought about drawing
It's interesting. Have I thought about it? Probably not, but only because I only like to draw people, which is very person-centric, but, unless they look like people. If they look exactly like people, if it turns out that Martian life looks like people, I mean, I will start drawing it.
like a green, like, Martian.
That's right, yeah, then I'd probably draw it. But otherwise, if it's just like microorganisms, it's not really my field of expertise. But, yeah, it's okay.
Yeah.
Oh,
Oh, sorry.
1, 2, 3.
Great. Alright then.
Thank you very much.
That's all right.
Okay, we'll move on to the next segment, which is the Mars Median mission. So MEthane is aiming at Mars to be the first multi-probe extraterrestrial network, and it's looking for methane. It's a joint UK-Australian project. And we have Robert Brand with us today, who many of you will already know. Robert Brand is a leading Australian space entrepreneur, aerospace engineer and innovator. At the age of 17, Robert was involved in support for the Apollo 11 mission in Australia with the feeds from Honeysuckle Creek and Parkes Radio Telescope. He supported almost every mission from Apollo 11 to STS-7 and played a minor support role in shuttle flights right up to 1985. In that time, he worked at the Parkes Radio Telescope in support of the Voyager-Uranus encounter and ESA's Giotto mission to Halley's Comet. Thunderstruck Aerospace is Robert's company and vehicle for several projects such as the Strato drone and the Mars Median mission. The Median mission is based on methane detection technology and has passed many milestones so far. The use of penetrators to land the payloads was Robert's concept, as was the mapping, orientation, and modeling. Welcome, Robert Brand.
Thank you very much. This is what was the median mission. It's the work I've been doing with my son for quite a few years by putting up probes into the stratosphere. We prefer it at science, but Myop did make a really good video about this just last year. So we play that. So just to give you some idea about the complexity of some of this stuff, just take a note of all the electronics and cameras and you name it, all the payload. The payload we built that morning. So none of this existed prior to that morning. So they do like to make it interesting. As my son is now, he was 14 at the time. I believe we had about 8 cameras, a 360-degree camera as well on there. And it was to launch their new logo. And their sort of goal for the next 3 years is the stratosphere. So they had drones flying around, they did everything. But that's a very complex payload that actually operates things while it's in flight. All built on the spot. So, yeah, a bit dramatic. So that's just 200, 400 metres up, 800, 2K. The ball's getting bigger as it goes up, 10K. 20K, 30K, and there goes the
logo. That was what it was all about. We launch, we track, we get all the data, we do a lot of scientific research, but we do this too because it funds the rest of what we're doing. So, so, bottom line, things like this is how we ended up with the Mars median mission. So, a quick bit of background, probably not so quick, of the whole bit. What happens here? Which one am I pressing from? Right. Everyone's switching away. Oh yeah, just one of the space groupies that is actually powering the scene at the moment. She's from Canada, so I thought I'd introduce her to some Australian space stuff, so if you want to read that. As I looked at all of this, I thought, I better put a roof on this dummy. So that was space. So there's a couple of slides in there. Now these are my real ancestors at Hillian. You've got to ask yourself, 100 years ago, this was not an issue, this was not a reality, this was not even anything anyone thought of. And going back nearly 60 years, that's sort of me at school, and we didn't have the internet, so it was all about radio systems and everything else. That's an old number 19 set from World War II tank. And then this happened about 1967. Same time, we actually launched something into space from Australia. Mind you, we grabbed an old retired redstone rocket and put it on board. But this is where I got involved. A couple of years later, I was on work experience at OTC in Paddington in Sydney, and putting the centre together. And I shouldn't have been involved. No one was allowed in there. It was all off limits. But that little box right at the very back, it's basically a media converter with a very high-res TV setting camera, and someone connected it to 240 volts. It's a US device at 110. Flew the hell out of it, nearly knocked off the entire Apollo 11 mission because they couldn't have run without all this stuff working. And all these guys who wouldn't let anyone in, suddenly they're scattered trying to get stuff from overseas, get new parts, everything was fried in the room. And they just said, Robert, you know how to terminate cables, get in there and do all this work. Okay. And then I watched it back at school on a black and white TV set. So it was really an incredible sort of few weeks where I shouldn't have been touching it, but it sort of set the scene for my future. I then got involved with support of every other mission, not 12. I was still at school for 12. And then I got more work experience for the rest, and then I was deployed to the site that looked after all of this. Basically, yeah, that's the invitation to the party at the end of the mission. They weren't very sort of supportive of their own technology. They turned me into a garbage can then. But it was a very successful mission. And I managed to even get a ride on the dish so we could use it to track the stars and get a really good photograph of Hubbles Comet. It was just one of those beautiful nights where you sat outside and rode the dish and feel it vibrating as it's tracking along underneath you, just pointing your camera right where it should be. I was actually sent there because of a very bad diplomatic situation where ESA was blaming Australia for for having circuits that didn't work, and the whole mission was at risk of not going ahead and everything else. And I was just a poor, ignorant technician who knew nothing of politics that was sent to go and fix up the problem, whatever ESA's complaining about. I was the right person. It was my thing I specialised in. And I took all this gear up. I worked 36 hours straight on the day I was told to go to Parks and fix it. Had 8 hours off, which you had to drive back to Parks as well, all the way down. Shower, eat, wash, sleep, and then back for another 24 hours. You wouldn't be allowed to do that these days. OHS would say, no, you can only work 8 hours or something, or 16 hours. And it turns out it was the user equipment. Pure and simple. So like an idiot, I come along and I say, I found the problem. It's in your equipment over here. And immediately got chucked off the side. And because I didn't realise what I'd said is your guys are idiots, they can't fix their own equipment, and now you've created this diplomatic scene where you've said to the Prime Minister of Australia, Australia's not doing the right thing. It was very, very poor for them, and they sent a senior tech up to go to the meetings that I was banned from, and I had to tell them what was happening, and then I was able to go and parrot fashion. 3 days later, I was actually invited to be on the mission during a encounter for both NASA's Voyager missions, which they were handling, and also the Giotto mission. So I was suddenly in a really good position, but I got there through creating a major diplomatic incident that really was not my fault. They started it, and oddly enough, the whole mission, a lot of the data went back to Darmstadt via the systems that I had, including through this little box that I still have at home, still works 100%. And it was a major part of that, the resolution of the mission and why it went so well. You'll see it up there, top right in the screen. You don't see too many home-built boxes in space missions these days. Not back then. And it still works perfectly. So, I was out at Parks, and security, on the day I went there, it was like a ghost town. No one was there. They're actually all meeting in some little room off the side. So the office was empty. No one was in. I was knocking on doors. I went up to the pedestal, bashing on the door. No one came. Then I saw this little number scratching the side with a hash on the end, and I went, I wonder. I'm inside. There's no security. I'm just inside the whole Parks establishment. I could have driven the thing off the end of the world there. The moving the dish in some ways wasn't far off, even though it was a total farce. There's no reality in that movie if you were thinking it was. We did well. Then moon bounce came along 2009. I got together with another guy and we got dishes all over the world to bounce signals off the moon. And this was something that had been done before, but not with lots of big dishes. And we actually got one of the dishes that was at Aurora Valley. And it was a NASA dish. It was down in Tasmania being used for radio astronomy these days. And we linked it up so that it was bouncing signals off the moon and back to the Netherlands. And they received that data, set world records, because they were transmitting from Aurora Valley dish in Tasmania with only 3 milliwatts of power. And it was shaking those atoms on the moon, and they were just shaking back and creating radio signals and bounced it back to Earth. Quite readable, even with such tiny bits of power, because those dishes are so powerful. They're 1 million times the gain compared to just a little receiver. So you got 1 million times 1 million. And the moon, even though it's not a very good mirror, that's enough. So we know that we actually signal out to Mars with not much trouble, and we can actually receive signals directly from Mars. All evident just from this research. So a tiny transmitter on Mars, even though it might only be putting in a couple of watts, could be received quite happily by the Parkes Radio Telescope. And in fact, it has been. They've done a lot of tests and they've received signals directly. The Huygens probe, the signals came in to Parkes directly from the lander. So, we've got the power to actually talk directly to Mars, rather than just going through a spacecraft. The next year we're given this. So, this is civil science we're talking about. For 3 days I had access to this beast, just because of the work we've done the previous year. So this is where this thing's been building up and building up. I created this website. We're doing lots of stuff on there. Right now we're doing work for Murdoch University with a Mars flyer. Again, balloons, take it up to 32 kilometres where the atmosphere is the same, and it's about less than 1% of Earth's sea level atmosphere. You were asking, someone was asking before. It is very, very close to being a vacuum, if such a thing actually truly exists. But so it makes very little difference whether you're on the Moon or Mars as far as space suits are concerned. We're testing a blimp for use on Mars, a small one, only a couple of metres long, but again with very tiny electronics. They're hoping to make a bigger version and have it fly much higher. We've got a project on passive retro reflectors that return an ID when they're scanned by laser systems. So that's being done over at Macquarie University with our company right now. So those things have now been moved to Thunderstruck Aerospace, and I have one of the guys that's part of Thunderstruck sitting over here, David. He's come along tonight to meet me for the first time too. Hello. We put up, that's our first balloon we put up. The atmosphere is so clear above New South Wales there, and I'm sure Victoria too. But that's the Murrumbidgee up there, third one up, 160 kilometres away, but very visible through the atmosphere out of the central part of the state. And we go out there regularly. We've done 31 trips so far. And of those 31 trips, we've recovered 31 payloads. So my son and I, he was 9 when we started, he's now just turned 15, have recovered 100% of all payloads, and we hold the world record. But it's the science we're doing that's important, and that's what got us to the median mission. We'll just hurry on. Well, this was good. They published this picture from the International Space Station. Now, what's it cost to take that photo? That was our version of a similar photo. We take it from our little beastie. $100 or so in consumables on that small balloon. So when we launch, we get these incredible pictures, and we do so much of it that, we've been down to Albury to help with Science Week down there. We help schools, and we actually have a vehicle now rigged up. We've got so many tracking systems, it's unbelievable, but it's only going to get worse because we're getting involved with some really incredible things that are going on. That was him when he was 9. If you want to get some kids interested in science and space, take him on a balloon flight. He ran out at age 9 and said, I want to help you with more of these, and got his amateur radio license at age 9. Now that's that one in the mile video. You should see it bristling with little bits of equipment all over the place, some so tiny you think it was just tape, but there's little electronics and things all tied around there. With that 360-degree camera underneath, and boy, the pictures from that when it's near the ground are amazing, and even when it's really high up. But they get a bit boring right up because it all starts to look the same for a long time. But first of all, you can put your goggles on and look around you, and it's just like being in a big bubble. Just truly amazing video coming back. We're doing live video. The most we've done is 70 kilometres live HD, high definition. There's not much we can't do with this stuff. We've done the first steerable parachute return, and in fact we broke all the world records, but since there was no one from any world record group, we can't sort of claim that officially, but the stuff we're doing equals the best in the world. Not in this sort of stuff. We're talking about things like World View, the big balloon that is sending people up. They claim 50,000 feet for their steerable parachute, and we're claiming over 100,000 feet, getting up close to the 30 kilometre mark. But so The research we're doing for Murdoch University is this, plus Thompson works with the old logos on there, that's my stuff. But we are doing a lot of work. They're waiting for some money before we go to the next stage of actually doing the live stuff. But it will have to fly up from when we release it at 32 kilometres. Otherwise, what use on Mars is if you can't get off the ground. So the idea is that we fly a whole bunch of different routines to just see how good it is, how long it'll last for. It's a cut down version. Yes, we have gravity issues, so we've got to cut it down. But we've got it right up there. We've got the right density of air and everything else. And we should be able to play with it for a while. It'll just fall out of the sky eventually, and then as it nears the ground, we'll turn on the rotors again. You want to know how big a rotor is? There's 4 of them. I can't quite reach it yet, but the rotors are that big, very lightweight, and very powerful, but only for short periods of time. But the idea is that if you have one of these sitting on a rover, as big as it may sound, let's just say that it fits on top, you can go out the day before, fly the path you want to fly, use LiDAR, which is all about light instead of radar. You can look around in 3D, map the whole place, come back, put yourself back on top of the rover to charge up for the next flight, radio back the information, and they will see everything ahead in great detail. So if this works, you may see that in a mission in the next 15 or so years. It may be a smaller one, they'll just get better at it so that it actually fits. Innovation, we all know what that is. But the main thing is, it's crucial to the success of any company. So the idea of our company is, all of that. So then we got the project Thunderstruck, which has hit a snag, but not a permanent one. It's actually coming good and resolving now. The idea was to create a Mark 1.5 glider. So that's still going ahead, but we had troubles with CASA, who just don't like us flying Mark 1.5 aircraft amongst all their stuff. But we've cleared the airspace. These days they'll allow us to actually have a no-fly zone for the whole thing. But some real science got in the way of this, so it's sitting still, waiting for us to proceed. We've done all these paperwork. We've built models. We've done the desktop testing. We've even done some flight testing in wind tunnels, and we know it'll work. It's just a matter of building it. And the reason we're building it is we actually want to build one day a return craft from space. But, that's a long way off, and we're not even pinning our hopes on that at all. Because lots of things have happened since then. Media is what it's all about. Anyone know anything about the speed of sound at altitude? Everyone thinks that the altitude changes the speed of sound. Sort of, but not because of the altitude. It's actually the speed of sound changes with temperature, as you can see from that. And thus, as the air gets colder, the speed of sound changes, gets, which way does it go? I don't even know. But, yeah, well, it gets faster. So, as we dropped the Thunderstruck craft that we were building, we'd actually have to fly way faster than Mach 1.5 to claim 1.5 at sea level. So the idea was at least we claimed we were faster than the speed of sound. So that was why 1.5 was very important. But all this applies to Mars. There's nothing different about this that doesn't apply to Mars. So we've actually been doing all this work, learning about Mars in our little group. Didn't even know why we're doing it other than this was fun. It's science. We're learning a lot. We're doing a lot. And it's going ahead with this little piece too, which is about 100 feet long, 30 metres long by 10 metres wide. And it will sit above a town or a mine site or a coastline, and it will monitor what's going on out there. It basically is a geostationary spacecraft at 20k. And in fact, a lot of companies have started to call them stratolites after stratospheric satellites. So we have a crossover between space and the stratosphere in many interesting ways, because the signal from this and the ability to look on the ground with cameras is so simple compared to having to have a spacecraft 36,000 kilometres away, and the power levels are so different from 20k. It's a no-brainer. So we're working with the Department of Defence on this. We're hoping to get funding from them shortly. And it also can be used for fires, floods, farms, animal monitoring, you name it. And it will sit there still over a bit of land forever until it has to be brought down and another one put up first before we actually do the changeover. But we can bring it back down and upgrade it with a spacecraft sitting out there at 36,000 becomes a piece of junk eventually and cannot be upgraded during its lifetime. So this has a lot going for it. Cheaper operating costs, cheaper to put up there, cheaper. So it'll be a game changer if we can get it to work, and we have about a 5-year lifetime before we expect to see something like that actually working. The first test will be done at university using a model, and it'll be tethered, so we can measure all the pressures and see if it will actually work. So that's what the company's working on. But with all of this, in 2012, I was at Space Fest, which is a major space conference in the US. I was speaking over there on do-it-yourself space, and someone came to me and said, "Oh, you're dealing with balloons." Here's the link. Can we land a whole bunch of probes on Mars, drop them from a spacecraft and use balloons to lower them in place? And I'm thinking, no, not going to work. You're going to have to take 2 big tanks and somehow blow up this huge helium or hydrogen balloon for massive sizes to lower this little few K probe onto Mars. And of course you've got to do that all while it's doing greater than the speed of sound. So, no. And the balloon will probably burst anyway. So you've got to use heavier balloons, which of course have an issue. They need more gas, more volume, and it just keeps going on. So, no. But we did work out something, and we were the first people to tell this guy from the UK, a well-known astronomer who had this idea for medium, that methane detection by in-situ, gosh, he must have sat up for nights trying to think that one up. Anyway, the idea is that a whole bunch of probes land on Mars and they detect wind direction and they can sniff methane. And those two things very simply allow us to draw a vector, and if the network's wide enough and then the wind changes, we can actually triangulate the source of the methane. And if there's a rover nearby, it can go over and go and say whether it's biological or chemical produced. Therefore, did it come from life or did it come from just chemical reactions which are well known? And methane doesn't hang around Mars for long. It reacts with UV and it basically disintegrates. I'll give you all the stuff on that here in a second. So it was impossible. We turned it around to say velocity is okay. It's our friend. We know it. We understand it. Let's make it so. By the way, I've changed this. He's accepted. He says, well, after Space Fest and methane detection by, I think it was something Australia and UK, I don't know. Anyway, it works out. It's still being median. I had to go and look up what I told him. He goes, oh, that's really great. They're really simple. So, that was simple. So there's a sim going on in Morocco. Sim though, Morocco, 2013 I think it was, and there's a much nicer space helmet. And these are the methane detectors being tested. They're very close to each other here, and boy, don't we wish we had some bloody people to put them out there on Mars for us. I mean, how simple would that be? But we've got to land these things somehow. And, yeah, they've got a flight tricks. Yeah. So there's the methane on Mars and where it can come from and so on, but it's either microbes or it's through decomposition of rock material and the methane comes out. Where are we going to find a rover to go and check this stuff? Well, that's why we're battling to be on a spaceship going to Mars. And to do that, we had to work through the candidate system, which is do your experiment, prove it works. Make the experiment more complex as it's meant to be, prove it works. Prove how you're going to get it down on the ground, make sure that works, prove it all works together, keep going, keep getting funded. And if you keep going long enough, you end up getting a Mars mission, or you're one of the final candidates, and you still got to battle through. But, are you using materials that jeopardize the spacecraft? Do you need batteries? Do you need, rocket power? There's a lot of reasons why they'll say, no, you can't come on board our rover because you could blow it up. So, this is one of the things. And we have a few nations going to take the rovers to Mars. Some not successfully yet, landing anything on Mars much. Others more successful. It's a really tight problem. You just can't get stuff down there easily. It's really, really hard. So, the big problem is landing gently. You don't have that problem. How are we getting to Mars? We don't want any space agency or group coming up and saying, we've got to add all this extra fuel to get you there. I don't know if you know anything about the Mars mission and what happens, but see those little things coming out up here? This is what we're going to replace, bits of junk. These devices balance the craft as they're in flight, and we need to replace those with our experiments. And basically, we have two 75-kilogram bits of ejection that take place just before the interface with the atmosphere, and then we have another 150 kilogram in 6 units that drop out about 11 kilometres up to rebalance it. Why do you need to rebalance it? Well, there's where we're going to put our ones that are in the atmosphere. In fact, in this simulation, you can actually see the small masses starting to be ejected. Put a couple up there outside. The whole point is, as you come into Mars, you actually don't want it to just go down. I mean, you do want it to eventually go down, but you want it to actually slow down enough. So you unbalance it, you give it a tilt, and so instead of coming right down like that, it suddenly starts to skim off the atmosphere. So whatever speed it's doing, it'll just travel 100 kilometres and actually rise up slightly. In all the pictures you see of the Mars landing, the 7 minutes and 8 minutes of terror, they never show that. But that's what happens. It actually lifts until it can't fly anymore. It is flying. It's a lifting body. And then it starts to drop. The moment it starts to drop, they rebalance it by removing the second lot of junk. And that's the first lot getting ejected up here. Cruise balance devices separation. They don't mention the other one, but it happens down here after the heating has happened. So we actually have 2 places we can launch probes. Up here, and they'll have to go through the heating process and slow down somehow. And here, they've already slowed down a heck of a lot. We're only doing 900 miles an hour. And we're going to land. Up here, I hate to tell you what the speed is up here. It's not nice. And we're not going to go flying through the atmosphere that way. We're going to come straight down here. So, we have to have our own slowing mechanism, and there's very little atmosphere to play with. But we can slow down. From up here, we can slow down to about 200 metres per second. That's about 720 kilometres an hour, in fact. This one here, we can slow down to 360 kilometres an hour, 100 metres per second. And we can do that by having a big air-filled ram sort of arrow-shaped top to it that protects our equipment, and when it hits, it's going to go down and leave our equipment out in the open. It will also have a little springy device that keeps the solar panels up, which will be on the top end of that here. So, look what comes down next to us, a rover. We may not be on a rover mission, but it would be a mission where a rover would eventually come along. So, that's fine. So we would have a mission which would only last 7 days because we can't put solar panels on it, and a mission that could last for years if we can keep the solar power going enough through winter. We're looking to have cameras on board, we're looking to have science packages on board, and in fact stereo cameras. But I can't give you all the information tonight, but there's a hell of a lot of science goes on there in how we work out where we are, what our orientation is, how far it is to the other groups, what angle they're at to the other probes. The hard bit is where it actually is on Mars, and we're going to get some help from Professor Andrew Dempster and his team over at the University of New South Wales. That's his area of specialty. That's what happens to the two big hunks of metal that get released. They really impact hard. We don't intend to impact that hard, but we can't be responsible for all that mass. Ours is only 6 kilograms each one, so we're going to carry a lot of other weight that disappears with us. Hopefully it won't land too close to us because that's big. That's a nasty impact, and you can see whatever's happened here, the ejector has displaced enough material that there's all these secondary impacts that of their own right are massive, huge. So these are the other 6, sorry?
Those pictures of an actual
spacecraft ejected. Yeah, they're the ejected mass that you don't normally see in all the pictures.
I didn't realise they'd be huge from orbit.
Oh yeah, well they're massive. They're not hard to find. But yes, and these are the 6 masses that are ejected at a much lower speed at a lower altitude. And you look, you got the date up here. It's real because I got it off the internet. You can look it up, it's real. It's from NASA. Oh well, according to those that don't go for the conspiracy theories. But yeah, these are the real deal. We can't use parachutes to slow it down because what if they settle over the top of our experiment? We really have to do something from underneath, and to that degree, we have a bit of a problem in the ejector also coming up and hitting the underside of our solar panel, so we have to be very careful. So the first tests are scheduled in the next few months, probably after I get back from the US for my first meeting with some people that are coming over. We're going to use the ADFA gas gun, the Australian Defence Force Academy in Canberra, and it'll be fired from here, basically with a servo around it. It will travel down here and into the target chamber with high-speed cameras, and John Clark will be helping with the designing the target payload material. We need 3 types. We need relatively sandy, clayey and rocky to just see how it handles, what speed we can handle, how deep it's going to bury itself. Do we need to have a thicker probe so it doesn't bury itself so far? We have to be above the ground, and I'll show you a picture of what we're looking at in a minute, but there's a bit more of the gas gun. Now, that can fire things at Mach 11. So, yes, it's bloody big. We can't even have any craft flying at Mach 11 at the moment. It's beyond our capability, but we can fire things at Mach 11. We're really good at war, aren't we? And the Australian Defence Force Academy, they want to do this cheap because they want to get in and say, look, we do things other than fight. They want to get a good name for themselves doing space research. That's what it was almost going to look like. That was single cameras up there. You can see some detector stuff up top for the for the wind direction and the median sensors. This is now fabric. It will have all sorts of horrible, messy stuff dangling from the slowing devices and so on. But that's how it will land. We have to slow it down enough by doing this, otherwise two things happen. We go too fast, not nice. Velocity is our friend, but not too friendly. We also have to hit as vertically as we can, otherwise airflow across this will start to interfere with the wind direction. So there is a third thing, and that is if the angle is too steep, bounce. So we have to be able to dig in deep, and that means that this part of it has to be thin. This is a dirty big spring inside with a non-linear taper. The idea is it slows it and slows it faster and faster, if I can say that. Does that work? Slows it. Yeah, okay, you get the idea. The whole thing is that it will actually not destroy everything. So initial tests will actually, when we do the gas gun firing, we'll have electronics on board to measure the X, Y, Z parameters of what we're doing and to see exactly what we're up against, how fast we can survive the impact and so on. This was Mars 98, I think. Never got there. Flew up on a Russian spacecraft in orbit around the Earth before it took off to go to Mars. That was the first set of probes that were trying to get there. And they too inflate in a different way to have this braking process and the heat shield underneath and everything. Ours doesn't need the heat shield because the median mission probes will head off at 11 kilometres altitude. We're already pretty slow. We're not going to heat up. But if we send two more probes that are going to go from the initial mass ejection, the cruise mass ejection, then yeah, they've got to re-enter the Earth's atmosphere. We would do that by probably having a ceramic shape that would also be designed to break a lot. And when it impacted the ground, just shatter. And it would allow the probe to go flying into the ground and potentially disconnect with a long curly cable with the science part at the bottom going deep into the ground to measure things such as water, saltiness, anything we can. We could run a little laser device to come back and tell us a lot about what the ground's made of and so on. So that's up for grabs. That's neither here nor at all at the moment. We know that this is all that's really important because in the candidate process we did something terrible. We got noticed by one of the space agencies that I can't name publicly at the moment, and we now have been approached to jump the queue. Evidently we ticked all the boxes that they wanted, and we're now waiting to see whether or not we are really going to be really highly up the candidate list already, which would mean greater funding straight away. If we can get that funding because we look like we truly have a Mars mission on board, then, you know, we call it a Mars mission, but it's a candidate. But if we can tick all the boxes, and one of the biggies is civil space, and no one has worked out how to take civil space to Mars without costing the agency a lot of money. That's the biggest box it ticks. It's also safe because it only contains a non-Samsung battery in its probe. We're not going to burn it up on the way there. There's no fuel, no nothing. It is an amazingly simple project, and all the mechanics can be locked away with pins that, when they go out, when it gets released, it's already out before it can even deploy anything. So that's the sort of one that might happen, something like that. This is something they did try to do already. It failed. They lost contact with the spacecraft just before it deployed. That was a US one, and they even had optical LiDAR. We're going to have cameras. Forget like that. We're actually putting 3D cameras on board if we can. 3 of them, so that we can actually see what's out there and distances and a whole lot of things. We won't have a panoramic camera, but there is a reason for having the cameras, and that's so we can work out the orientation, the rise of the sun, and a whole lot of things. But all this stuff, this is where you guys can contribute. If you know what we can do, that's the real big thing. Sorry, almost finished. So, if we can work out what to do as a team here in Australia, and I'm calling on everyone, not just you guys, to be part of this, this is where we can really excel and create some wealth. To give you an idea how big those Russian probes were, this guy is actually one of the main people out there. He's standing beside it. He labels this thing the 6-foot penetrator, but I'm not sure who he's referring to. So, thank you. That's me at the Parkes Radio Telescope, not so long ago. And I even had that on the back of my slide set because I've been trying to promote you guys for a fair while. Thank you very much. Any questions? Yeah, I did a good job then, didn't I? Yes.
At the start, when you did that ad campaign, how the balloon apparently said it got bigger the higher it went.
Yes.
Have you actually did the air set in the balloon to make it rise or to get bigger?
Okay, you're talking about the balloon that was in the first video, and why does it keep going up and up and getting bigger and bigger?
Yeah.
Okay, what it is, it's helium, and as it goes up, what happens to the air pressure? Right down here it's thick because it's being pushed on by all that other air above it. So as it goes up, the air pressure gets less. So there's not as much pushing in on the balloon anymore because it's less. So the balloon goes up and just keeps getting bigger and bigger until one day 1 minute it will do that. So they're in flight for about 1.5 hours to maybe 2 if you're unlucky. If you get it totally wrong, it'll fly for a whole night before it comes down the next day. Up there's nasty chemicals in the stratosphere, and they really work havoc on the balloons. And next morning, if you've still got a balloon in flight because you misjudged it, someone did the other day, it was an illegal flight. We all saw it and watched it electronically. And the UV gets on it, reacts with all the chemicals, eats the balloon to pieces, and it comes down always within about an hour or so of sunrise the next day. And this one came down in Canberra, and it came down right next to a massive reservoir. It was 100 metres from the road, where the only road in the whole area that serviced the reservoir. So they couldn't have done it better. But they were from Melbourne. They hadn't cleared it with CASA, and they were illegally transmitting. So the Radio Club in Canberra got their balloon and reported to CASA, and these guys are probably running a mile. We know the house they stopped at in Albury because they left their tracker on while they were going up. Not Albury, Waterwater, sorry. And so we actually can see the house. We can go there, knock on the door and say, they probably picked you up and took you to the flight, didn't they? Anyway, basically, you'd be amazed at what we can see with the tracking systems we use. They're just incredible. I can look, even my GPS navigator can track the balloon and guide me by the GPS navigator to how to get to where it is, the bit of ground that's above. So, the systems in the vehicles are amazing. And these things will go up. They'll get to about 12 metres, and that's pretty big for a balloon. And then kapow. And you should see them when they go into all sorts of bits of string-like stuff and just fly everywhere because there's a lot of energy in that. In fact, when it bursts, the little bits of stuff that go out at literally hundreds of kilometres an hour. But they've got very little mass. But that's what happens when you expose spacesuits that burst to low pressure. So we've got to be careful with our spacesuits. No one knocked the glass, or whatever it is, the nasty thing, and I'm sure bits of tape on the outside. Was it the Martian? He cracked it and he put tape on the outside. Can you imagine the pressure of a bit of... it's not going to work. It's what the Mythbusters use, same time. Questions? You're first. Very rude not to let the poor lady go first. No, go on.
I assume there's been...
I'm very rude, sorry.
The site selection, so it doesn't land in the bottom of the area.
No.
No? Is it kind of pop back about whether planes are...
I can't say too much about it at this stage because I know more about where it's going to be than I can publicly say, and who's going to be, whose rocket it's going to be on and everything. And, it's not a foregone conclusion, but I already know some of this stuff. Yeah, hopefully it'll be clay. There could be some rocks around that we just have to break up as we go flying through. But
I see a similar outcome to rock, or it's really interesting.
It should be fine once we impact. It makes a little difference. I mean, this stuff goes in at such a speed, it just slices through stuff once it starts. But you've got to have it start. And that's that business about it bouncing and things like that. If it can't start, it's like a nail that you hit sideways. If you hit it slow, boom, bent or gone. If you slam it in hard, watch your fingers, it'll go in sideways quite happily. So it's all to do with speed. So velocity is your friend until it becomes too much to bear. So we have to get it. That's a fine line. That's what all the research is and the testing. We'll be doing ballistic gas gun firing down in Victoria. So we have to simulate. We can't slow it down with the very things we'll use because it'll slow it down too much in Earth's atmosphere. It's too thick. We'll be dropping them out of helicopters in the centre of New South Wales on a big farm that someone's donated for the cause. We have to move the sheep out. If we don't, we get a nice barbecue that night. But we'll be dropping them from helicopters. Sorry, kids, put your head over. Sorry. Okay, so that answers that. Yes. I have a hat here that I'm going to be passing around. My hat, I forgot. Sorry, guys, you lucked out.
How would a chopper on the Australian Space Agency kind of get over that time?
Well, they'd probably give us a lot of money to do something like this because, seriously, that's part of what they would do, provide funding for some things that were really important to the country, and they would also provide opportunities to hook up different companies to help and assist, and there'd be so many different things. They'd be getting over regulatory hurdles, they'd be lowering the cost of entry into some of this stuff for us, they'd be twisting ADFA and ADFA's arm and so on. It would be a very different world we lived in, and I'm doing battle. And one of the things I'm doing battle with is credibility, because civil space is a really awkward area to be in, because someone will say, who are you? What do you think you're doing? And then of course the Australian bit comes in. Australians, we wouldn't have a clue what we're doing. We can't get anywhere. But behind all of this is a hell of a lot of research. A hell of a lot. And we've got one of the top planetary scientists who've come on board with us. And we'll get a lot of Australians coming on board too that have a lot of good credentials. The Mars Society is backing us, and in contributing things, they made the lovely picture of the spacecraft on Mars transmitting back to Earth. There's a lot of stuff that has to be done. There has to be video simulations to capture the imagination. I'd love to transmit back some images that kids have sent to Mars in between sending pictures back from the cameras, and just shoot up the odd image back from Mars, a bit of artwork. Sorry, I don't know if you heard that. Project Hermes. I'll talk about that later to you offline. But we certainly have funding issues, sure, it's going to cost $20,000 to $30,000 for the ad per gun, even if they're keeping it down to just cost and so on. But we'll twist arms, we'll get a lot. We've got people donating the farm. We'll actually be able to put a building up there so that we can base ourselves up there with some of our equipment and do measurements of this thing flying down to Earth and so on. It's already happening in a big way. We've got people coming on board, and what we don't have, because of the credibility factor, is that we don't have the TV and the radio and the newsprint sort of groups coming on board, because we don't think we're good enough. We've listened to countless politicians saying Australia will never launch anything in this space. We listened to the government, it wasn't even 10 years ago, saying, hey, look, we have these priorities and we're not going to look at anything else much. And, satellite data coming back. We'll crunch data, that's what we'll do as a nation. We're good at that. We'll receive data, we're good at that. And we are. But it doesn't mean we're not going to be good at doing other things. And it's the hard things we have to do. Oh, hang on.
Yeah.
What's that accent? Yeah, anyway. By the end of this decade, and it could take us 10 years for this flight to happen, I commit to landing us on Mars, not because it's easy. So, it is really a tough ask to land on Mars with little funding, but the funding will come. It's just a matter of getting credibility first.
Does that mean that we say innovation and research ideas that we have, you kind of got to go to the same level every single month? For example, once this is done, then you've got to start the next one?
Every single company, every single mission has to get its own way through the system. Yes.
And that would change considerably if you had the right type of government back.
Oh, if you had the government behind you. I mean, what has Australia actually done in space? Brian O'Brien put 3 dust sensors on the moon with the Apollo projects. We launched RESAT into orbit for a month or two. I think it was a month live working and 3 months before it came back in. And if you can tell me what amazing things we've done other than that, and sure, we've got CubeSats and everything else, but, as a nation, just putting the CubeSat up and letting someone else launch it, it really is a good thing. But is it one of those great things? No, but it's what we can do and what we can fund, because we don't have a damn space agency. And of course, a mission like this would just benefit so much. And I want to make this mission an Australian mission involving all the people in all the associations I can that are credible and still working. Yes?
So I got a message from Janan. So the Chinese are looking for collaboration, so you're going to their conferences in June.
Chinese in collaboration. Let me tell you a little story about a company that decided to help the Chinese with data coming back from their spacecraft. We will do the reception. They were just about accused of treason, and it went on and on and on. And there's also ITAR issues that are very sensitive and so on. And I would suspect that we have to keep this mission very much UK, Australian and US, which are the current groups involved. Love to get money from other people, but I think it's important that we respect the issues where we could have some moral problems because of how we're seen and what the government would be saying about us too. It's very difficult. Things are changing, so we have to sit and weather that storm out and see what's happening. And I watch The Martian. I know what's coming. Yes.
I think too much of the talk. A lot of people here will already know this, but back in late 1969, people at University of Melbourne launched Australian
Oscar 5. I'm an amateur radio operator myself. They built it. They didn't launch it, but they built it, and it went in orbit. And I think that's wonderful. I just look at RESAT as at least another stage further on. We actually stole an old bunch of parts and put it together and launched it an American spacecraft. But you know, we're talking about something other than the ordinary. And sure, we're playing with CubeSats and we're playing with Oscar 5 and everything else that went up. It lasted not too long, actually, was it? It was a 3 months. You know, but what this is you know, I'm looking at things that are just an amazing game changer. And can you imagine if this works? Australia building spacecraft on the moon, on Mars, putting the first network up anywhere outside of Earth. The first impactors that carry anything other than just smashing into rocks. You know, you're just going to be looking at an amazing capability that suddenly comes out of nowhere. And I think that's going to change the way politicians look at space. It's going to change the way the public look at space. And we need to back this up with words. You guys have done a great job presenting stuff to the government saying we need this, we need that. I mean, it's brilliant. What we also need is some runs on the board. You know, you can talk all you like, but unless there are people out there saying, you know, why are we doing this? And it's going to change votes. Because let's face it, there's only one reason politicians exist, and that is to win the next election. There is no other mandate possible. They might say, oh, we want to do this for you, but they know that's because it'll win votes, or not lose votes. And away it goes. So that's the idea. We need runs on the board, and this sort of thing is runs on the board. And getting the CubeSats are fantastic. People are noticing it. It's in the news. People are probably still asking why does it produce much and everything else. And CubeSats, I mean, I judge CubeSat competitions, and when you look at the fact that there was a CubeSat that was capable, it was only 2 units long, and it was capable of spotting with LiDAR very tiny pieces in orbit and tracking their orbit, and basically being able to plot the orbits of these things that are 10 times smaller than what we currently can plot, just with the small CubeSat, knowing where more stuff is. And I was just amazed that, you know, you could probably build this yourself in your backyard. And the ideas and the use of the CubeSats will go through the roof. And that's fantastic. But, you know, it's what I'm talking about is going that step further than just having an idea that works really well in space, someone else launches it. You know, crashing down through the Martian atmosphere. That is amazing, and being able to prove that we are a worthwhile group out there in the space world that can do something. And as a whole group of people in this country, I'm sure we can pull that together.
And then you make your strato drone 30 metres long, 10 metres wide, instead of payload capable?
150 kilograms of customer payload. That's why it's that big. And it works on several bladders with slightly different pressures. But there's very little in the way of anything hard inside. So there is a ring around it which will swivel so it can point the solar panels to the sun better than just having them on top. And it will basically provide tons of electrical power. It will provide enough power to keep motors running and battle anything up to 90 kilometres an hour winds for 24 hours. But, you know, you've got to realise you're up there and there's only a few percent of air density compared to sea level. So you don't need a lot of thrust. At the same time, you know, these things don't push against you with any great strength either. So provided you stay close to the equator and not too far from the tropics, that whole section in there you can keep stable. You can fly above cyclones and still provide communications. Everything below keeps working compared to things that are on the ground providing communications that just disintegrate. So there's a lot of reasons for wanting these things to be there. But it's going to take years and a lot of money. It'll take a big investor from the US probably, and that's what we're working towards. Yes?
Well, I think the idea of penetrators on Mars is something that is sound and sensible and eminently doable.
Yes.
Because it acknowledges the inherent difficulty of getting stuff onto the surface of Mars. And on the first projects in a decade that I've heard actually said it doesn't try to fight the fact that it's bloody hard to get onto Mars. It works with it. And you're actually putting small masses into the ground on Mars. Rather than everything else that's incredibly difficult. We know that Curiosity is the current record holder for safely landed mass on Mars.
Yeah.
How they're going to go above that is still yet to be determined. I know they've got some ideas. So I think it's a tribute to you and a tribute to Australian ingenuity that we've got a way of actually feeding Mars at its own game and getting small masses down there sensibly and reasonably and being able to do something scientifically meaningful on the surface of Mars. So well done.
Well, I'm not doing it by myself. Like I said, I've got one of the team sitting over here. David, I keep asking questions. Now, can you help me with some maths over here? We've got to get it all, it's all maths. At this stage, it's all maths until we start firing those projectiles. Then it'll be the start of the physical proof that it's more than just, hey, it should work.
But it seems like you're accepting what the scientific and technological risks are. You know what Mars is, and you know what you need to do to get onto it. Now you've just got to test the technology and work through the technological risks of it. But I think it sounds really good.
And I keep a little bit of Mars off a meteorite that crashed into it right there sitting in front of me every day. So I'm looking at that bit of Mars and I'm saying, we're coming up to meet you, mate. Yeah. Okay.
Thank you very much, Robert. Okay, well, as usual, we've gone well over time, but that was an interesting opportunity to listen to Robert. He came down from Sydney specifically to talk to us, so thank you very much for that, and we wish you all the best and all the success for the mission. Okay, on that note, I think we might...
Michael, can I just say a few seconds about the space show? Yes. Starting this Wednesday, for the next 5 weeks, we're doing a series on Australian space policy, various aspects of it, including the call for an Australian space agency. And then on May 29, I think it is, or anyway, the last Wednesday in May and the first Wednesday in June, doing 2 programs on Australis Oscar 5, because that will be the 50th anniversary of the delivery of that spacecraft to AMSAT in California. So we're marking that anniversary, the 50th anniversary with 2 programs, the last one in May and the first one in June. So that's 5 programs on space policy, followed by 2 programs on Australis.
Thank you very much. Okay, thank you so much. Thank you to Annalea. Thank you to Leo. Wonderful. What's going to happen with the painting?
I'm not sure. It's going to bring my band. Yeah, I don't know. I guess I'll keep it until I can find a way. But it does feel like pretty big. I don't know. I'm not sure. If anyone knows anyone at IAC, I reckon it might be fun to show up there.
And thank you once again, Robert. So thank you, everyone, and hopefully we'll see you at our next meeting. I believe it's Monday, the 22nd of May, and we'll have astrophysicist Dr. Peggy Mack in from Melbourne University. So thank you very much.